financial aid office called and said, the donor who's been secretly paying your tuition wants to meet you. I thought my scholarship covered everything, but I showed up anyway. The man waiting for me looked like he hadn't slept indoors in years. When I walked into the cafe to meet the person who had apparently paid my entire tuition, I scanned the room for someone who looked like they had money to give away. The only person sitting alone was a man in a coat full of holes with a beard that hadn't been trimmed in months. He smiled and waved at me like he'd known me for years. I sat down and said, look, I don't know what's going on here, but I can't take money from you. He just smiled. It's already done. Every semester for 4 years. Can't undo it now. I stared at his weathered face and felt sick. But why me? I don't even know you. He folded his hands on the table like he'd rehearsed this moment 1,000 times. I've been waiting 4 years to explain. He pulled out a binder from his backpack and slid it across the table. Inside were bank statements, tuition receipts, and printed screenshots of my grades from every semester. How did you even get my grades? I asked. The university sends updates to donors who request them, he said, and I noticed he had highlighted every A in yellow. I flipped through the bank statements and asked, where did all this money come from? He told me he won a settlement years ago from a workplace injury. I looked at his torn jacket again. Why aren't you spending any of this on yourself? He ignored the question completely. What's your major? I told him I was studying to be a nurse. I'd always wanted to help people. He nodded slowly. That's good. That's really good. I pushed harder. Seriously, why are you living like this if you have settlement money? He looked around the cafe and said, they're closing soon. Let's take a walk. We stepped outside and he led me to the parking lot behind the building. He pointed to a beat-up car with blankets piled in the back seat. That's where I sleep. I stared at him. You've been living in your car just to pay for my school? His voice got quiet. You're not the only one I'm paying for. He opened the back door of his car and pulled out a shoebox held together with rubber bands. Inside were more photos, more transcripts, more graduation announcements. 6 students, he said. You're going to be number 6. I looked at the faces of strangers who had all become nurses because of this man. Why do you care so much about nursing specifically? He dug to the bottom of the box and pulled out a photo that was more worn than all the others combined. A teenage girl in a hospital volunteer shirt, grinning at the camera. My daughter Dana wanted to be a nurse since she was 12 years old. I asked where she was now and immediately wished I hadn't. His whole body seemed to shrink. She couldn't afford the tuition, and back then I had nothing to give her. He held the photo like it might crumble. She worked 3 jobs for 2 years trying to save enough, but every time she got close, something would happen. Car would break down, rent would go up, and she'd have to start over. I asked why she didn't apply for scholarships. She did, got rejected from all of them, said she felt like the universe was telling her she wasn't meant to be a nurse. His voice broke. She left me a note saying she loved me, but she couldn't keep waiting for a future that was never coming, and then she made sure she wouldn't have to wait anymore. I covered my mouth because I couldn't breathe. I found her the next morning. He wiped his eyes with his sleeve. 8 months later, I got hurt at work, and the company paid out 6 figures to make it go away. He looked at me with an expression I'll never forget. I would trade every dollar and live under a bridge for the rest of my life if I could go back and hand her that tuition check. So I made a promise that no one else's kid is going to lose their dream because of money, not if I can stop it. I graduated in the spring, and he sat between my parents like he'd always been there. I'm working at a hospital now, and every month part of my paycheck goes right back into his fund. We're up to 9 students, and we pick them together. Every single one of them is going to know Dana's name.